Austin City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson has just been taken into custody.
Here's video from moments ago of the FBI outside a Dorchester home. We told you earlier this week the city councilor is under federal investigation, but neither she nor the city would tell us why. Officials cited the U.S. Attorney's Office, saying the integrity of a grand jury investigation would be impaired by disclosing information.
That FBI raid and arrest is just the tip of the iceberg. There's been nothing less than a wave of arrests across the country of Democrat politicians and, yes, judges who are finally being held accountable for their years of corruption. We're talking representatives indicted on federal charges, judges arrested for corruption, state officials facing felony counts. It's happening in real time. And if you've been waiting years to see the swamp finally start to drain, this is the moment you've been hoping for. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, celebrating yet another day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, make sure to click on that link below and get Patriot Alerts, my free uncensored newsletter where I share the stories I can't cover on YouTube. You can subscribe free by simply clicking the Patriot Alerts link in the description below. It's really happening. We're beginning to see arrest after arrest after arrest of Democrat politicians and, yes, judges. Let's start with what just happened in Florida. Today, literally just hours ago, Representative Sheila Sherfulik McCormick was arraigned for conspiring to steal $5 million from FEMA disaster funds. Now, according to prosecutors, she and her brother won contracts to staff COVID vaccine registration drives for their company, Trinity Healthcare Services. When they were accidentally overpaid by over $5 million, they refused to give the money back. Instead, Sherfulik McCormick allegedly laundered that money into her 2021 congressional campaign. Now, let that hit you, okay? While Americans are suffering, some even dying from COVID, while families were struggling to pay their bill, while small businesses were shutting down permanently, this congresswoman was allegedly stealing disaster relief money meant to help people and instead using it to buy herself a seat in Congress. The House Ethics Committee just released a report, and it was devastating. They found substantial evidence supporting the criminal charges against her. The investigation met 12 times. They sent 30 requests for information. They issued 59 subpoenas. They reviewed over 33,000 documents, interviewed 28 witnesses, and the report revealed substantial evidence of conduct consistent with the allegations in the indictment, as well as more extensive misconduct related to violations of federal laws and ethical standards. So, what did House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries do? Did he call for accountability? Did he demand her resignation? Did he repeat his nauseatingly hypocritical mantra, "No one is above the law"? No, he promised to block any effort to expel her from Congress. I mean, let that sink in. $5 million in alleged theft disaster funds, 15 federal counts, a House ethics investigation with substantial evidence of wrongdoing, and the Democrat leader in Congress, off-brand Obama, refuses to hold her accountable. But unfortunately for Dollar Store Obama, Sherfulik McCormick is just the beginning of the Democrats' legal troubles. Let's talk about Judge Andrea Bradley Baskin in Detroit. She was federally indicted just a few days ago on charges including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and false statements. She allegedly helped embezzle $273,000 from vulnerable adults under court-appointed guardianship, elderly people and disabled individuals who couldn't protect themselves. This is a sitting judge. This is someone sworn to uphold the law, someone entrusted with protecting the most vulnerable members of society, and she allegedly stole from them. And then there's Judge Rosie Speedlin Gonzalez in Bexar County, Texas. She's touted as the first openly gay judge of Bexar County, but it turns out that she's far more than that. She is a radical LGBT activist and has weaponized her courtroom for that activism. She was just arrested and indicted on felony unlawful restraint by a judicial officer. I kid you not. She allegedly ordered a defense attorney handcuffed in her courtroom because of a procedural dispute back in December 2024. You heard that right. She had a lawyer handcuffed and physically restrained in her courtroom. This isn't misconduct. This is authoritarianism 101. This is an abuse of power from the bench unlike anything we can imagine. But of course, that's just par for the course given her radical left-wing activism disguised behind the power of a black robe. And we're not done. There's yet another high-profile arrest of a Democrat that's going to blow your mind. And we're going to see what's really going on with all of this corruption. But first, gang, spike proteins. I'm sure you've heard a lot about them. You see, the trickery about man-made spike proteins is they can slowly and secretly create long-lasting effects inside the body, despite people feeling fine. In a new peer-reviewed study, researchers tested the blood of 34 women and men, all who received the Pfizer mRNA vaccine, and every one of them tested positive for micro blood clots circulating in their system. Now, these are stubborn, hard to break down clots that have been linked to lingering symptoms in both the unvaccinated and vaccinated. So the obvious question becomes, how do we detox the spike proteins? In a word, nattokinase, a natural enzyme that's been shown to dissolve up to 84% of micro blood clots within 2 hours in vitro. Even at lower amounts, it still reduced the number of clots, the intensity of the clot signal, and the overall clot size. Now, what makes this even more important is that nattokinase has also been shown to break down the spike protein itself in vitro. So this means it's positively attacking the damage and the culprit simultaneously. No pharmaceutical therapy has shown this combined effect. This is why the wellness company created Ultimate Spike Detox. It's designed to support the body's natural ability to break down spike proteins and support healthy circulation. Head on over to twc.health/Turley. Use code Turley to get 15% off. Again, that's twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to get 15% off. Georgia State Representative Sharon Henderson. She was arrested and indicted on 12 federal counts for allegedly collecting over $17,000 in pandemic unemployment benefits while serving as an elected official. This Democrat allegedly made false statements on 10 separate occasions to steal money meant for Americans who had lost their jobs. Now, are you noticing a pattern here? COVID fraud, stealing from vulnerable adults, abuse of judicial power, laundering disaster relief funds. This isn't just isolated incidents of bad behavior. Gang, this is systemic corruption. The billions of dollars of Medicaid fraud that's been exposed and uncovered in Minneapolis. The comparably billions of dollars of Medicare fraud that's just been uncovered in LA, with Los Angeles County alone accounting for nearly 20% of the nation's federal Medicare claims. One county alone, 20%. We're witnessing the revelation of the single biggest federal and state crime scandal ever committed in our nation's history. And it has Democrat DNA all over it. And what's so key here with these arrests, every one of them in some way, shape, or form, every one of them hid behind the veneer of supposedly Democrat compassion and advocacy. In other words, they hid behind some kind of Democrat pet project in order to engage in blatantly illegal activity to enrich and empower themselves. Their supposed humanitarianism was a cover for their own personal enrichment and benefit. And we talked about this in yesterday's video on the massive scandal that's being blown up or exposed, I should say, in LA County. If you don't know, Los Angeles County has become the epicenter of healthcare fraud in America. If you haven't seen that video, the numbers are staggering. $3.5 billion in fraud just in LA County alone through hospice and some home healthcare schemes. Los Angeles County has 1,923 hospice agencies. 1,923 hospice agencies. One county. That's more than the total hospice agencies of 36 states combined. It's 30 times more than Florida. 30 times more than New York, even though LA has less seniors than those states. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of less seniors. And basically what's happening is we're uncovering a mass fraud scandal where fake hospices have been stealing billions in Medicare funds. Yeah, Medicare. That's our money. Federal tax money getting stolen in LA County. But what we pointed out yesterday is that as infuriating as that is, it all reeks of a political party in total decline. The Democrat Party has become so incurably corrupt precisely because it is basically decomposing. It's dying. Sociologists have long studied how large social and political movements meet their demise, the pattern in their dissolution. And one of the key characteristics of that dissolution is rampant corruption. You see rampant corruption as a leading indicator of institutional collapse and social decay. Basically, the social conditions of the political party are so bad, so few people believe in it anymore, that politicians and what we're finding often judges, they just basically begin looting the public trough for all it's worth. They're done trying to reform it because trust in their political movement is in the toilet. They've been so politically rejected. So they're done with trying to reform the system, and instead they begin looting the system. So this fraud that we're seeing here is a stunning admission that Democrat politicians and judges see their party in rampant decline, and they're getting what they can while the party still shows some semblance of functionality. But of course, what does that do? That only ends up propelling a doom loop, a tailspin, since the more Democrats get caught in corruption, the more trust and confidence in the party implodes. And once that trust is fully shattered, as the legacy media is finding out the hard way, the institution eventually collapses. And I think we're seeing the slow but inevitable death of the Democrat Party. The arrest and removal of these politicians and judges is just a foretaste of the end of the party as a whole. And I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say that moment can't come a moment too soon. Hey, before you go, gang, do not miss out. Every Friday, my weekly wrap-up gives you everything you missed during the week. Live streams, top videos, podcasts, events, and the week's biggest Patriot wins. Sign up free at turley.pub/recap and start ending your week with faith, family, and freedom.